and welcome, good viewers, tonight to the first episode of Middle Earth Rogues of the Northern Frontier. We'll be playing in the MERP system or Middle Earth Role Playing System, published by Iron Crown Enterprises. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and take a look. And hey, it's in one of these old school games. So as we come into our view, the curtains part, and we see a very wild but definitely cold view. We fly in over the ocean through thunderheads to the western coast of Middle Earth and over the Blue Mountains, the arid Lewin, and down the slopes into a forested plain just to the east, flying over mostly evergreens, spruces, and pines poke their tall heads up under this graying sky. We come down to a small, not well used road. At some point, it may have been a great tradeway, but over the years since the kingdoms of the north, fabled Eriador, have fallen to one by one to the forces of the Witch King. Some of the more distant roads have been left to fall back to nature. But along this road, we see two lone travelers, one slightly taller than the other, uh, apparently wearing furs, and the other dressed as a woodsman. So, um, Manridrill, the Strix as he's called, could you give us the description of your character, please?
Mine is a Dunedain of uh, 6 foot 3 inches tall. His eyes are a deep green, similar to the pine greens of their current environment. Um, he's very lean for his build, tall and corded. Probably about just over 14 stone. Um, he walks in his bear hide snow boots. There, he's clad in kind of like a modding fur outfit of bear, wolf, and rabbit furs. It's pretty drab looking, very unassuming with dark earth colors, but he does have a bright, vibrant red and kind of a red and taupe embroidered bag over his shoulder that's almost like half covered by another cloak thrown over the top of that. But the contents of that haversack will be mysterious to our our audience for now. But he's not an unhandsome man. He's above average, but there's a scar that kind of perforates his features just on the left side of his nose, that goes down to his lips, just to the left of the center there, and there's a nick hidden in his stubble, that kind of detracts from what sculpted features that he had, but that's from an injury a long time ago, which kind of gives him more of a roguish, more back alley attractiveness to him. But he is currently humming a soft, folkish melody from the exotic dunes far to the south, to himself.
All right. So a very good view of what the Strix appears like. Walking next to him currently, we have Bella Flecca. He's a bit of a woodsman there. Why don't you give us a description of how you see Bella Flecca the Dunlending, their Bellfleca.
All right. It worked for me today, at least. All right. So Bellafleca is a Dunlending. Stands about 5'10", so he's just slightly shorter than the Strix next to him. Uh, Brown eyes, that nice deep brown that can look soft, but at the same time, it's look at everything in the room. Um, his hair, likewise, is also a deep brown, going down to just past his shoulders. Currently, it is undone but brushed back. Um, he has a few weapons on him, as well as a gauntlet on his right hand that never seems to leave his possession. He also has within his pouch a book of writing skins. He is, by other people that know him, he is known to be loud. Though to him, he's just being himself. But take that as you will. When people tend to complain about him or his demeanor, he tends to just laugh them off, and it's just kind of the either you deal with me or you don't type of mentality. Um, he does tend to get into song, which is probably why he does enjoy the Strix every now and then, um, because of what the Strix likes to do. But besides that, he's just kind of on a journey to just try to find more of himself, as well as just learn more, hence the writing skins in his pouch. But yeah.
All right, excellent there. The reason these two travelers happened to be on this road to the north was recently they were in the city of Mifflin, the elven home, or the elven city known to many as the Grey Havens. And of course, the Strix is always looking for a certain tapestry that seems to be his life's goal and such. And when asking around in the taverns and the docks of the city, in most cases, people looked at him and sort of laughed it off. Um, the elves don't normally deal with these things. Until one day he came to, or well, recently, he spoke with an old ranger, um, a Dunedain like himself, um, over a few cups of ale, bought by the Strix, of course. Um, he told him of to the north, up along the eastern flank of the arid Lewin, there was a small town, sort of almost a fabled type town, um, by the name of I said this now. Um, the name of Galernos, little small town of Galernos. It's a little community of about 40 elves of mixed heritage. Um, they've carved a little small outpost for themselves. It's sort of a retreat for many a scribe and a philosopher to sort of get away from the big city, and get some quiet. It's led by Polimnov, who is a seer. He founded the little town, and he leads this little band there of isolationists, if you will. And this Dunedain Ranger tells you that if anyone might know or be able to find out a clue for you about where you might want to look for this thing, it would definitely be him. Um, and with those words, and of course with the fact that one of the things he mentions to Belfleca, or Belfleca may even have ever heard, was Plimnoth is also known as he's a bit of an artist, and he likes to draw very detailed images of wildlife in their native habitat, away from the influence of man specifically, and away from the influence of elves, even, who actually shaped them. Even though that they're more closer to nature than man seems to be, they still shape the wilderness into almost a garden for their own use. And they tell you it's about a week's journey north. north. And that week has passed pretty much uneventfully, even though you've gone further and further into the wilderness, and the northern winds have begun to sweep in as it's early November. Temperatures have been dropping, and now to the west threatens a thunderstorm coming in off of the ocean. You're already getting hit by little pellets, actually, of ice intermixed with the fitful rain. And you hear what may be ahead of you a torrential downpour. So what are you two need to be doing there?
We're at least Minardell will probably cease his humming as soon as he notices the weather turning for the worst. He'll turn back to his companion and say, "Well, I suppose we've picked a worse day for it," and point out the probably that the storm, the burgeoning supercell coming in.
I missed that last a little bit. Sorry, my
No, he says,
earbuds are screwing up on me.
well, he says, "Oh, we've picked a worse day for it," as he points to the weather. Bad weather coming in.
Fuck will actually look up at the storm coming in. Yeah, we're really kind of picked the worst day.
Yes.
I'd say we might have going the double step here.
Well, with that, if we go from just like a leisurely, well, not, forgive me, not a leisurely stroll, but we're walking. But as soon as we both have that non-verbal look between us, we both just double down, and then now we're actually marching.
Now we're power walking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Power
no.
walking there. As you follow this road, which you've been assured by that Dunedain Ranger that this road will lead you right to the little settlement. This roar gets louder and louder until you realize that what you're hearing isn't the roar of a heavy storm downpour. It's apparently a torrent of a waterfall. You top a smaller rise, and you find in front of you a beautiful valley laid out with about a 70-foot waterfall at the back. Lights flicker among the trees below, telling you that you've arrived at the settlement. But at first glance, if the lights weren't twinkling there, you would think it was just a picturesque little forest valley there with this river running through the middle of it. More really of a rill than a full-on river. It's probably 10, 15 feet wide. It's just a deep cut. What you do see, though, is up at the top of the waterfall, there's a structure there, a very airy structure that looks put together by a master craftsman and architect. And you do see the lights twinkling there of fire and warmth. As this rain comes in a little harder, and you can feel the temperature getting colder. So you guys both come into the outer periphery of this town, and unlike most towns that you've seen in the wilderness, especially human towns, you don't encounter any sentries. No one's on watch.
There's no watch here. Interesting.
There's no wall either. There's no barrier. You just walk right into town.
Oh, well, there's no palisade here. That's kind of odd.
Mm-hmm. You see that there are probably, you can count under these trees and in these trees in some cases, at least 16 separate structures. All of them, as I said, very, very ornately crafted. The wood itself is carved and polished to a beautiful luster, almost a deep golden color. the eaves of these houses seem to be they seem to be covered in shale, but it's a very green shale. Um, if you didn't know any better, you would think of maybe that at one point it may have been copper, even a
Oh.
copper cladding, possibly.
So
And
are we standing up on a like a precipice looking out over this
yeah, I
this
would say
waterfall?
as you come in, you sort of come down into the valley over a little like a little saddle way there on one side.
Oh,
You see
okay.
this waterfall coming down to your left and running through this river down the middle, and then this forested area below with these houses sort of sprinkled among the trees there along the edge of this river.
Um, I am going to walk up to the edge of this cliff here, and
Mhm.
I'm going to probably I'm going to take Clan,
Mhm.
actually like unsheath him
Mhm.
about 3 or 4 inches, and then I'm
Uh-huh.
going to flick the blade and let it ring.
Okay.
What I'm looking for is an echo.
Okay. All right. Do
Do I?
me
Okay. What do you want me to roll
a
for it?
perception test.
Oh, beautiful. All right, perception. um, that is an 88.
All right. You do think you can hear over the roar and play of this waterfall, possibly a bit of an echo,
All right.
although it's very very faint. It could be your imagination. You're not sure.
All right. Then I'm actually going to actually vocalize. I'll actually go out there and actually sing from the diaphragm, throw a few notes out there. I'm
Okay.
not going to say any words. I'm just going to basically
Just going to do some vocal. Okay.
kind of.
Well, the acoustics of this valley is quite nice,
Then, all right.
and
I'm going to
it
roll, and you just give me a secret bonus that if you want to.
okay. What
Oh,
is your presence modifier?
my presence modifier is a 15.
Okay.
All right, and my performance 5. That gets me to it gets me to 117.
Okay. So you well, first off, did you roll above the 96 on the dice?
Yes.
Roll again and add whatever you roll second to that. This
Oh
is an
goodness.
exploding system, by the way. So
That's an additional 31.
okay.
Oh, of course.
All right. You vocalize out and you definitely hear the acoustics of this place. It definitely has a beautiful sound to it as it echoes off the cliffs around where the waterfall is and back up to you there.
I'm gonna lean forward, cut
And
my
you
ear, and see if I hear anybody else.
as you do, you hear a very melodic, beautiful voice from below answering you in a very similar but subtly different vocalization.
Is it higher or lower?
A bit higher, sounds female.
Sounds female.
Yes.
I'm just gonna look down. I'm kind of like look down, probably through the mist to see if I see anybody with a smile on his face. Like,
Okay.
well, I
Then
see
you
how
hear a
you are.
male voice.
Wait,
As that one echoes down, you hear a male voice answer. Once again, slightly different variation.
I just
Then
turned to
you
my companion. And I said, "Well, we've arrived."
then you hear a duo that is very intricately singing an interplay in what you recognize as what might be Quenya.
I'm not gonna like shout or anything like be aggressive or like I was like, bravo. I'll be with you shortly.
Okay.
And then I'll just kind of look for
Okay.
a stairway that goes up to
There's a
this building up there.
there's a path that actually leads down into the valley itself, and but you don't really see a path up to at least from here up to the structure on top of the waterfall.
With that, the Strix will kind of whistle Not that unpleasant ear splitting whistle, but a call.
Okay.
He will call his familiar to him,
Okay.
Olos or Blizzard.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. White owl, I'm assuming. White eagle owl.
he's kind of modeled like
Okay.
brown, white, gray. He just
Okay.
looks like snow, like a
So-
snowdrift.
This bird comes winging very quietly out of the forest and lands on. I'm sure you have an outstretched arm from the land on.
I've got a gauntlet for him to sit on.
So he perches on that gauntlet and ruffles his feathers as he settles in, which is he does that when he's feeling somewhat cold, as a breeze blows out of the northwest into your faces and pelts you with little small bits of ice that seem to be falling more and more frequently.
And with that, I'm going up to that what seems to be a chalet of some kind, but
So, well, if you follow the path down, you actually see down along the river there's actually the town is laid down in the valley itself.
I
There's
thought
that
was a building above us.
Oh, there
on
is.
a tier
There
above.
is.
That's where I was going. But if
Oh,
there's
well, there's no way directly to go there without going to the town, basically.
oh well, then never mind. Well, I'll just enter
yeah.
the town then.
As you get to the edge of town, as I said, it's a very much wide open, and you walk in, you see elves stepping out in their usual gracefulness out of these different homes. One particular fellow steps out into the sort of more open. He has his hood of his cloak up. He holds his arms open and he sings to you in Quenya of welcome. Basically, he's just vocalizing about 8 or 9 different words for welcome in Quenya. Welcome, my friend, and welcome, travelers, welcome. And he just turns into a song.
Beautiful. I will sit there and kind of bask in his singing there for a few moments. Let him finish respectfully.
Okay. As his voice sort of trails off, you hear another voice say, "What brings you here, humans?"
Well, fine company, the singing, and I'm looking for something. We're here to possibly pass through, stay for a few days, and be on our way again.
Well, as long as you bring no malice into our company, you're very welcome to stay.
No.
And
Of course
and it would
not.
be less than hospitable of us to turn away anyone in this weather. Yes, the singer at that point says forward and says, "Come in, come. Let's go into my home here around the fire, and tell us of your travels. We don't get many outsiders here."
I
And,
turned to my companion. Shall we stay for at least a few more days?
We can stay as long as we feel comfortable.
Right. I turn to the singer and say, as long as you want us, I can pay with coin, or I can pay with some of the songs that I have learned from my travels.
he smiles and says, "The vocalization that you did and inspired the rest of us to sing tonight is worthy of at least a meal and a bed in a storm."
Oh, beautiful. I give a winning smile, but that really does show off that wicked scar on the front of my face. As I step inside, take my hood off, and then take my rabbit mittens off. It actually sees the rest of my Dunedain countenance.
Okay. He comes as you walk in. He says, "Welcome to the house of of Silas. That is my name. This is my home." And you walk over to a very open, airy room. Basically, it looks like almost like it's carved from a fallen trunk of a tree, but this tree was massive. Inside, it actually goes down a few steps, and it's partially subterranean of all things.
Oh, beautiful.
But it's very well kept. The walls are actually lined with polished wood, and the floor is tiled with stone. there's a hearth in the center that's has a nice cherry fire burning, and it's quite warm inside.
I
Um,
if there is a place like an antler or a coat rack or something for my owl to roost upon, I'm actually going to point out with it with the hand that he is sitting on, and then launch him towards that.
there's it could be a branch, it could be a bit of root. It's hard to say exactly, um, but it sort of sticks out from the wall, almost like a place to hang your coat. But it's definitely broad enough for your owl to sit upon and be comfortable, and it's close enough to the fire for it to be warm as well.
Okay, I don't want him to overheat at all.
Oh no!
Eagle owls are big, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, no.
Silas, he goes in behind the fire and reaches down and lifts with a rod. He reaches out and lifts the lid off of a pot boiling over the fire, and the smell of a good winter stew reaches your nostrils. Definitely something that will give you a good warm belly and a good full belly at that.
My
Um,
stomach grumbles.
mhm.
Realize that we haven't eaten today.
There you go. So, and he says, "Come, sit. I'll serve up some bowls of food and some. I have tea. Do humans drink tea?"
Uh, we do. I do plenty and as often as I
Huh,
can. Many
huh,
do not.
huh. He nods and looks at Bella Flecka and says, "Do you drink tea?"
Okay.
Oh, okay. Then I will bring three teacups and three bowls of stew, and we shall sit and speak of your journeys and where you've been and what brings you here. So he hurries himself, and actually he's humming under his breath too, um, as he prepares the tea and sets the tea up in the teapot, and sets out the bowls of stew first. And it's almost the way he pours the tea is almost ritualistic, but not quite.
Nice.
He seems to have a very specific way of doing it. Um, and he actually tells you at one point, as he's pouring the tea out, he tends to rise the teapot up to where you have about 2 feet of liquid falling into your teapot, but it never splashes out.
Good, Silas.
Mhm.
Where do you get your tea leaves?
Oh, we grow them here.
Oh, good. You do grow them here. Excellent.
Yeah, we have an excellent herbalist here. She grows all of her own herbs um, and she grows all of her Oradel, or sorry, Ordriel. I apologize. You see, she is at the Eldar, and I am a humble Cinda myself. But yes, she grows her own herbs and teas and several other things. Um, matter of fact, she actually is the proprietor of the majority of vegetables that you'll find in this stew. So
Oh, excellent.
the venison in it though came from one of the hunters. Um, Maros, I think is his name. He's fairly new to our company. He's only been here for, oh, I guess it would be 100 of your years.
Oh, all right then.
Mhm.
Uh, but as Silas is going about pouring and getting
Mhm.
us ready, uh, I've shed all of my furs and I've kind of hung it on the back of one of my chairs. I've taken my Herod or my Herodrium haversack, and I've like stuck that on the table. He's setting up
Yeah.
shop. He's
Okay.
basically taken a table to himself and
Yeah,
just
that's
laying
fine.
his stuff out and,
Okay.
in kind of like folding it, getting it uh to where the warmth will dry it out and get all that
Mhm.
done. And he's in his casual clothes. He hasn't disarmed himself, so um,
Mhm.
the mithril war sword, his amulet of it's Orome that's actually out on his chest, and his hair tied back in braids in the Dunedain fashion. Finally, he does take out the elven lap harp, actually, which he babies excruciatingly, and he just plucks 1 or 3 strings just to make sure that nothing's wrong with it, but it's a habit. He makes sure it's all tuned properly. Satisfied smiles, and then he finally turns to his host. I'm well now. Everything survived the trip.
Wonderful. He finishes pouring the tea, and he places a cup in front of each of you. They're very delicate little porcelain things that you're almost afraid to touch because they look almost like they just fall apart at the merest brush. This is porcelain so thin that you can actually see the color of the teeth inside of the cup. And Silas looks at you and sort of sees that look and says, "Oh, don't worry, they're much more durable than you may think." So
I will take a sip of this tea and take a seat.
the tea is quite good and very warming. Has a bit of an odd flavor from what you're used to, but not unpleasant.
Oh no.
He serves up the bowls or 3 bowls of stew in very similar bowls, and places actual silver spoons in them. At least you assume they're silver. And the stew itself is said that even the closer it gets, the warmer it makes you feel, and the more your hunger rises. As he sits down at his own setting and raises his cup and says to travelers and new tales, and takes a bit of a sip. He says, "Did I do that right?"
Yeah, no, you did, of course.
Ah, wonderful. I've heard of toasts, but I've never actually done one myself.
You did one expertly just now.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
I don't believe you. You must have done it before. It was well done.
No, never, not once. So I have heard tales many a day and read many a manuscript which discusses these things, these toasts, but none actually tells one how to actually do it, other than to raise one's glass and say something inspiring, that you were toasting to something, and then you drink afterwards.
It's a very simple ritual. Very simple.
Very, very much so. From what I understand, it actually originated at some point in the First Age. I believe it was a human custom originally that the elves eventually adopted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can confirm this.
Huh.
The lords or the lieges that started this custom, don't remember offhand, but yes, I can confirm that.
Huh. So, and he turns and after says, I know you're definitely of Dunedain stock." He turns to Belflecca and he says, "But of what tribe are you?"
I'm one of the Dunlending.
Ah, Dunlending tribe. I've heard much of your people. As a matter of fact, we have a not too far from here. I think it may have actually originally been a Dunedain burial field, I guess, or what is the proper term for that? A place where you take the remains of your dead to bury them.
A cemetery.
Ah, yes, there's a cemetery. I believe it's frequented by the local tribe of Dunlending. They don't come here for some reason. They tend to avoid our little valley. They seem to have the idea that we're forest spirits and we may curse them if they come too close. That may be because the fact that, well, as you see, there was a young man who was caught trying to pilfer some of the apples off the alpha tree that Oradrel tends in the fall, and she went into a tirade in Sindar, and I think the poor fellow didn't know the language and thought she was trying to cast a curse upon him.
Serve the scoundrel correctly.
He was just trying to get magical fruit from the fairies, as they call it. It's a very odd sounding word. The Dunlendings call elves fairies. I'm not sure where it comes from. But as he literally is just chattering away, You both hear the sound of someone coming in from the outside. In fact, Strix, your owl, turns his head to look at the door.
We both turn almost simultaneously and just
Okay.
look.
And what you see there is a very tall, well, I say very tall. He's tall for a human. He's about 6'4".
He's an inch on me.
Yes, he is. You see where is his? Right, where is his description?
It's Gendel. No,
Oh, here
it's
you, yeah.
not.
Well, he's a rustic looking elf. Very tall, has the blonde hair that's typical of the Eldar. He's about 6'4", and he has a very slender build. He is actually walking with a slender staff with a mithril and gold cap in the form of a perched eagle on the top of it, and around his neck hangs a large pendant that is a very clear polished crystal. It's almost the way it's fashioned. It's almost like one could gaze through it. It has a gold circle around the outside edge. He's wearing a loose blue tunic and a pair of white trousers and a dark blue cloak against the rain outside. And the cloak itself is very intricately embroidered along the edge. And as he walks in, he says, "Silas, are you talking their ears off already, or are you going to save some conversation for the rest of us?"
I immediately stand because I mean, it is after a fashion that when Meinardel is in a foreign land, anyone who looks like a liege gets the respect that a bard can give them. I immediately stand respectfully.
Oh, he looks at you and he waves his hand and says, "Oh no, sit. You have some good stew there before you. I'll just come in and get myself a spare. If you have a spare bowl there, Silas." And Silas says, "Of course I do. Come on in. Have some. I have some tea as well. I just brewed some up. This is some of the last batch that Orgel was able to harvest before these storms started coming in. And outside, you can actually hear the sound, the rattle of these. Apparently, it's sleeting outside pretty heavily at the moment, rattling off of the roofs and among the trees outside, causing that hissing noise as an undertone to the echo of the waterfall." But he steps in there and he says, "I am Polimnoth. You
Good
two
morning.
travelers, may I have your name?"
I am Meinardel of the Dunedain of the house Telpinar, but some of my friends call me the Strix.
Welcome, scion of Telpinar. I've heard much of your house and have many friends who speak well of them. And he looks over at Bellaflecca and says, "How shall I address you, sir?"
Bellaflecca, a humble gentleman.
Well, welcome to our.
And he'll just give a small head nod.
Well, welcome among us, Bellaflecca. I've known several of your kinsmen, possibly. There's a tribe not too far from here that we occasionally trade with, though they seem to fear us sometimes. What brings you so far north into the wilds of Numeriador, especially at this time of year with the storms coming in?
I'm tracking down the Strix will actually hesitate as to get down to business so quickly when they're being so warm to us. And so he'll hesitate, kind of roll his eyes to spite himself. And so the elves of the room will be like, "Well, out with it, come on." And I'm looking for the tapestry of Anatar.
Oh. The two of them look at each other at that utterance of that name.
And I kind of like half like lean my head in Bellaflecca's direction. I say, "That is the 17th time that they have given me that look. I'm not crazy. I'm telling you, I promise." And he says it with that roguish smile on his face. "I promise you, gentlemen, that I'm not crazy."
They both sort of look at each other, and Silas seems to be thinking for a moment. He says, I believe at one point it was supposed to be, wasn't it supposed to be hanging in Fornost? As he looks over at his companion there at Pelimnoth, and Pelimnoth says, yes, I believe it was at one
That's
point.
the other way.
Yeah.
Oh,
But as you know, Fornost at some point in the past was attacked and ravaged by the forces of the Witch King. Not too awful long ago, actually. And he supposedly stole all things of value there. I would assume that he may have gotten that. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe one of the Dunlendings had said that there was a battle, not just a few days walk from here, according to them, where some of the Dunedain forces caught up with these this band of orcs and wargs, and their train of troll pulled wagons, trying to avoid the forces of Arthedain. And they wiped them out, but I don't think they got all of the wagons. So it's possible there could be something hidden nearby. I mean, there's many little places, hidey holes where a troll could stash some treasure, if you will. They've been known to do that, especially in caves.
of course. Troll holes the world over.
They are very well known for doing that. And Silas says, "Oh yes, there's even tales that there was a great trove discovered by some human or another, about far to the east from here. At least that's what the claims are. You know how humans are; they can spin tales that are just so." And he starts to say outlandish, and he looks and says, "Oh, I apologize. I hope I didn't offend you."
At least we're good for something. And I wink.
He grins. He says, "You're definitely good for a night's entertainment." And he said he asked. He looks at your harp. He says, "Could you maybe after we eat and speak a bit, play a bit of music, and I can invite some of my friends here, and potentially we'll have ourselves a night of singing under the stars if this storm clears out."
Well, if you'd like to have a party, then have someone sent out would bring everyone who has time this evening, and I can get a set list ready. Give me 30 minutes.
Silas grins, and he wipes his face and stands up and finishes his tea off. He's only probably about ate half of his stew, and he says, "I'll prepare myself and go get everyone." And Pelimnoth says, "Silas, sit down, finish your meal, and then afterwards we can definitely do that. I'm sure that the Strix here needs a bit of time to think about some things, and probably would like some possible additional answers about things."
And to sit for a few moments longer. We've been walking all day.
Sure, I'm sure. He said, "Oh yes, I forgot. It must have been a long travel coming up from. Where did you come from? Mifflin?"
I have. Well, you met me there. You've been walking
Ah,
longer.
so
I
yeah.
No, I am simply a traveling minstrel. Some would call me a bard. I have been as far south as the ebbing dunes of Far Harad. I'll indicate the very beautifully embroidered haversack. I've been just the far side of the Misty Mountains for us. Past Imladris. I've only been only a day in Lothlorien, but I had to move on from there. But I have not. I've made one loop, one full circle in my years thus far.
Well, that's an admirable travel. Quite a ways. But yeah, and Bell says he traveled from Dunfermline. Yes, that's actually quite a walk as well from there. You're very well traveled humans, very well traveled. Most humans don't go far from their villages. Um, as Silas finishes off his stew, and you have Polimnoth sort of nods, and he says, "The tapestry you seek has a bit of a dark history, you know."
I've heard good and bad. It depicts Anatar before, and
Yes.
I kind of like hesitate to actually say it because I know it's become kind of a not a curse word, but kind of a bad luck word. Um, like uh, before the dark times.
Uh,
Uh, so
yes. Yeah, Anatar, the ring smith, Anatar, the gift giver, the teacher. Yes, the snake in the grass.
I simply wish to find such a thing and look upon it myself as a could it possibly have been true that this was a goodly being before? Was he ever good once?
Anatar, if there was any good in him, it would have been snuffed out by the flames of Morgoth well before the sun rose the first time.
Well, my personal mission is to take the thing, recover it, and put it in a place where it's not going to harm anyone else.
Yes. So just to be aware, this thing, because it does have the visage, if you will, of the foul creature Sauron, draws the attention of many dark things. I'm sure one of the reasons Fornos was sacked in the first place was because that image was there, and the Witch King himself wished to look upon the visage of his former master, his former, I guess, his former visage, if you will, seeing that he has no face now. And I have also heard Sauron does not like this thing because it reminds him of the time when he actually had a body.
Well,
So
fair.
So if you do go to poking around the hills about here looking for a troll hole, as they say, or such, you might wish to speak with the Dunlendings. They're about a little more than a day walk to the east of here.
That actually might be their cairns that we would be knocking over. Oh, I
Well,
just
those,
turned to Belflecca. We're not actually grave robbing.
yeah. Well, the cairns are, I think, originally Dunedain
Oh,
by their make. There's one large central cairn, which is obviously a cairn of someone of import, and several other um, mounds about that. And the Dunlending mounds are comparatively smaller, mostly stacks of stones and such interspersed among them.
well, uh, for the purposes of, well, for my purposes, should the this tapestry be holed in one of the Dunedain cairns, I would think, well, maybe. I would think maybe one of the old chieftains might want it taken and then put in a place more appropriate for safekeeping. I'm not keen on plundering a relative's tomb, but for this, it's somewhat of a dirty job. However harmless that the job's intent might be.
Yes.
Now, Dunlending tombs, I turn to my companion. We're probably going to need permission to do that. That would be your call.
Yes, permission would be the wise choice.
I don't want to upset the locals. I truly don't. I don't like bringing ill things where I go. I'm a respectable bard. I am not a scoundrel. I might look like it, but I'm not.
At that, you hear a scream from out in the night.
Is this a scream of pleasure or is this a scream of terror?
This is a scream of surprise. And
my sword
maybe a bit
leaps
of
into
horror.
my hand, and I'm standing at the doorway.
Make me a perception check, the two of you.
Oh shit! Okay, perception. It's an 82 on the die.
All right, so remember what I got to do here.
You roll percentile,
92.
and then on that on the Bella Flecka list, look for perception, and then you want to do the middle number between the sides. So
It is a 92 total.
Okay.
For the Strix, anyway.
That's 140.
All right.
Oh,
The Strix, you hear, you can definitely tell that the scream came from sort of the direction you came from, so out the edge of town.
okay.
And the scream might have been the same as that female singer you heard earlier.
Oh yeah, no.
By the tone of the voice and such.
To the
Bella
Strix, there might be somebody, a
Okay.
woman in danger.
Okay.
He is armed and at the door.
So Bella Flecka, you hear, of course, the scream, but as you get to the door, you also catch a scent. It is the paradox of having this scent in such beautiful surroundings doesn't get past you. The smell is the smell of death, the smell of something that is rotting or rotted. Sort of bad meat, basically.
Something rots here.
Mhm.
So I'm standing out on the front
And
porch.
he says that he's actually going to pull out his one hatchet and go follow Strix out the door.
Okay. As you get out the door, the light here is subtle, and the rain, of course, dances around and makes things difficult to see. The rain and the sleet, but you do see a figure. Looks to be, as I said, coming up the road from the way you came, sort of slowly walking. You see this elven lady come running. She sees the two of you and turns and runs towards you and just says, "It's an absolute horror." And she runs past you inside.
Does Clan actually glow?
Playing glows around evil things, right?
Yes, in the presence of
Yes.
evil.
It is beginning to its edge is beginning to glow. Yes.
At that point, as soon as I see that she's actually inside and the door is closed,
Mhm.
He takes a high guard and actually stands there in
Okay.
the street.
Okay. So you step out into the street then, beyond the opening of the home.
Yes. He'll
Okay.
actually kind of growl in Sindar, and I'm like, "Come here, damn you!"
Okay. All right, Bella Fleck, are you going to follow him out?
Yeah, Bellflecker will actually grab his shield in his offhand,
Okay.
and you'll see him kind of adopt a thrower position with the hand axe versus just I'm gonna slash at something, but he will be at Strix's back. As soon as Strix starts to move, he'll probably stay about 10, 15 feet back, just because he knows he has the range.
Okay. Works for me there. All right. In that
Your
case,
arm's already cocked for the swing, is what I'm saying. Sweet.
So, what you see specifically as you guys step out into the street is the light let's say once again dances off the rain and the sleet there, and you see this figure come walking towards you as it gets into an area of a bit of glow from one of these lamps that seems to just be randomly scattered about town. You see a figure that might be a Dunlending warrior. It's wearing the cut of its leather armor is similar to what Bella Flecka has seen many times. A slight variation, as different tribes will. In its right hand is a hand axe similar to your own, but not quite as well made, and it carries a small shield on its left arm. But as it comes within the view of this light, the face itself is something out of a nightmare. The flesh is drooping off of a skull, half decomposed. At this point, both of you can smell this thing. And as such, I would like you both to make me a disease resistance roll, please.
Oh, man. Oh.
That's on the second page down, by the way, Bella Flecka. It's a plus 10 for you, I believe.
Mine is a it's an 82 on the die. 82,
Okay.
92. There you go.
All right.
92 after the wait, hang on. 90 plus 5.
94.
97, excuse me.
94. All right. You guys are both able to keep your the beautiful stew down that you just ate. Because the stench is just that bad. So now if you'll roll percentile and add your agility modifiers to it.
Ooh.
And this will be initiative for you guys. So,
You said agility modifier?
yes.
10.
63.
All right.
Oh, this might hurt. As a bard,
I just rolled 100, so that's 110.
Okay. Roll that 100 those dice again and add what you rolled the second time to that.
So add it in.
Yes.
202.
202. All right. So you are definitely going first. So, all right. So what are you going to be doing, Bella Flecka?
He's throwing his axe.
Throw his axe at? Ah!
Aiming for the head.
Aiming for the
Yes,
head. All
that's-
right. Make me an attack roll. So you roll your percentile and add your thrown weapons bonus into that.
Question
and-
for the lore keeper.
Yes.
As a bard, a well-traveled bard, does the Strix have any knowledge of wights or the undead?
He may have heard tales.
He probably
But,
knows a few tales himself, but have I encountered any?
Probably not. They're fairly rare.
Good reason.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Yeah. There we go. Go ahead and
125.
125. All right. So that's minus 10. So that's a 115. He's wearing rigid leather. That is going to be okay. You do 13 points of damage and you're going to score a C critical. So you need to roll percentiles again.
Whoa.
And sure. And I will tell you what that is. Basically, what a C critical is you have A, B, C, and D criticals.
Yep.
An A critical is you roll percentile and subtract 20 from it for your own on your chart. B is minus 10. C is no modifier. D is plus 10, and E is plus 20. And now, needless to say, the higher the critical is, the better it is. So
A being the lowest, or
A
E
being the lowest.
Okay.
A being the lowest.
Okay.
All right. So what did you roll for that second critical there, sir?
I need to roll again for anything, or just a straight critical?
Just straight critical, straight percentile.
That's going to be a 76.
76. All right. So as you throw at this thing, the rain throws your aim off a little bit because you're going for the head, and the axe drops a little faster than you expect to, and it thunks into this thing's thigh, opening a bit of a wound, one that you would think would be the kind of wound that would put a man down, because obviously it would cut into your very vital blood flow there. But this thing just seems to not even hardly notice it hit him. So, all right. And as it lumbers forward, unfortunately, with the Strix being the lowest on the initiative order at this point, it is
More
going to try
fascinated than anything else.
you're probably going, oh my God, this is just what
Like,
the
wow,
heck?
that's what they look like. Ooh.
Yeah, this thing actually moves forward almost at a more hurried pace than it was. Since you said the Strix was in front and Bella Flecka was behind.
Yep.
It's going to go for Strix first. So, what is your defensive bonus currently, Strix?
Oh my goodness, my defensive bonus.
Yeah. Now, your basic defensive bonus is your agility plus any magical armor you happen to have. You can choose, because you haven't gone yet, to apply your entire offensive bonus to defense or part of it. Remember, if you do that, you get a plus 20.
That's because because of my bracers.
Mhm.
I'm going to do that.
Okay.
So that would be, and my mail armor gives me a 15. So, do I choose a portion of my offensive bonus?
Yeah. You basically subtract a portion of your offensive bonus.
So my total is 75.
Okay. So you show how much do you want to apply to your defensive bonus then?
Oh goodness. Let me see. I'll subtract 30 from that, and I'll have a defense adjustment of plus 65 there total.
All right. That will drop that down pretty well then.
And plus the 20 for my my brace. That brings it up to 85 there.
Okay. So you have you're wearing chain, right?
Yes, male.
All right. This thing comes whistling in at you with this hand axe to lop at you, and you're able to catch it on one of your bracers, and it skitters off.
Nice.
Doing no damage to you whatsoever, allowing you to also to then return the attack. So it is your turn now, sir.
That would be now the remaining 40 points there. That gives me a wait. Hang on. I want to make sure I'm doing this right.
So whatever your percentile is plus the remainder of your attack bonus.
All right. 98. 98 total.
98 total. All right.
Yep.
So that's going to wind up being 88. All right. Your great swing with that double-handed weapon hits the thing for another 15 points of damage and a B critical. Which means you'll roll percentile and subtract 10 from it, if you will, please.
Subtract 10, 84.
84. All right. 84. slash. All right. You actually come down and hit the thing's weapon arm. And you actually sever the tendon
Oh,
pretty cleanly, and its arm drops uselessly to its side, dropping the axe that was clasped into its hand. Although, once again, it does not seem to really care the fact that it just got hit. As it makes a motion as if it's trying to say something to you, but since there's no lungs, there's no air moving through this thing's body.
it rasps
So it
at
just
me.
the teeth just moving, clack and click towards you.
Ooh.
It's a bit off-putting. Also, since you have come and slashed this thing so closely, I need you to make another disease resistance roll for me, please.
Oh no. Ooh,
What did you roll?
This might suck. 45.
Okay.
Wait. 50. No, that's 50. Oh, I missed my 5 points there.
Okay. So as your blade opens this thing up, it takes that arm almost completely off. The smell of that disturbed flesh just bursts out. The rain cannot hold it back any longer because of of this, and you find yourself literally falling to your knees and retching. So,
Yep.
yes, the meal does not taste quite as good the other direction.
Damn you! I wanted to enjoy that.
And you will be down for one round doing that. So back to Bellafleca. You see your friend slash into this thing and then go down to that, but you're a little bit further away, so it wasn't right in your face. So what are you doing, sir? You have that axe that's popped into its leg.
Right. Am I able to interject myself between Strix and the white?
You can step up to him, yeah, because he's down. He's basically, I'm thinking, crouched down, went down to one knee.
We're in melee range,
Yeah.
though.
So you could probably step up next to him and be right there in this thing, right in front of this thing, and possibly draw its attention at least.
Okay. The side that the axe is buried in, where is that in relation to Strix? Like if I was to get that pulled out, would it hit Strix coming back out?
No, you'd be able to pull it out cleanly. So.
Okay. So I'm going to move up next to Strix, have my shield side.
Okay.
Actually, basically over top Strix.
Okay.
And then I'm going to use the gauntlet to call the axe back to my hand.
Okay. All right. So you're going to defend that this round?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This thing takes a swing at you for getting in between it and its. All right. And I can tell you for a fact, it's the one arm, the left arm that it's now only useful to. It's the hand hits the front of your shield and smears across the front of it. Make me a disease resistance roll, please.
If I survive this, I'm gonna have me some more stew.
That was 70.
70. All right. With that, you're able to keep your bile down, but it's this smell is horrific. All right. And Strix, you're down there. You're coming to yourself at this point as you see this shield over top of you, and you hear this clang. Your stomach is pretty much emptied out.
Yeah.
And since you were incapacitated for the next round, you get to reroll your initiative.
Oh shit! All right, I will do that
Yes.
now.
Yes.
No, I'm feeling pretty damn sick with a my agility.
Mhm.
Ha, a 21. He's not first
So you
encounter with
actually
the
slowed
undead
down
is
a
kind
little
of.
bit.
Yep, no.
All right. So Bella Fletcher, you are now armed once again, and it is your action for the next round.
All right. I am actually just going to simply hack at this thing
Okay.
in a possible attempt to incapacitate the other arm.
Okay. All right. Make me a basic melee attack there. So one-handed. I think it's one-handed slashing is what, or one-handed weapon.
Mhm.
So
108.
108. You are going to hit that thing. That's actually a pretty good hit for it there. You're going to hit it for 15 and a C critical. Go ahead and do that critical for me real quick. Percentile. C being just a regular. So
88.
88. All right.
Mhm.
You go to swing for that arm, and if this thing moves at the last second, and you actually bury the axe in its face, actually destroying one of the eyes. Um, as that happens, the of course the head pops like a rotten melon, and this thing falls to the ground, leaving you standing there with a an axe covered in gore. But since you are able to hold your bile
Mhm.
down earlier, you don't have to do it again. And the thing lays lifeless at your feet. So, so
You all
combat
right
has
down there? You need some help?
Ugh. Yeah. I'm gonna haul myself to my feet and kind of realize how lightheaded he is because they didn't eat earlier today. They just woke up, start walking, and that's the only food. The stew is the only food that he's had, and his stomach growls again. He he'll just flick
well, that
what's
yeah.
left of the gore from his sword and then stow it once again as he watches that blue glow probably flicker and fade.
Yeah, the blue glow definitely is. It's as soon as that thing, as soon as Bella Flecka's axe hit that thing's face, the glow sort of dwindled. That's whatever magic was animating it was fled.
Walk over to the corpse. I'll just kick it. Damn you.
Okay, your foot sinks in about 3 inches.
Oh, I. Uh huh. All right.
Yeah, you definitely feel the
Go
impact of.
inside and go.
This thing is
He'll,
definitely very ripe.
he'll walk over to a snowdrift and just like get
Yeah.
his foot clean and then go inside.
It takes you a bit to really clean that stuff off. There's like 2 or 3 pieces that just are stubborn and won't come off, and you have
Ugh.
to reach down with your glove and like knock them off, and that it's on your glove. And
Mhm.
yeah,
Ah.
um, the other elves are inside. Silas and not call him again. Silas and Pelimnoff. If you want to call him Pelletier. They come
Wrong
out.
person.
Pelimnoff. They come out and see the of course they've been watching for the commotion from the side, and Silas looks up at you and says, "You didn't tell me you were such great warriors."
Well, Bell is a better warrior than I.
Mhm.
Ugh.
Well, he definitely is very good with that hand axe. Very handy with it. Handy hand axe. And Silas sort of smiles at that. At this point, you see the rest of these elves sort of begin materializing out of the rain around you with cloaks up against the rain. The rain itself is let up just a little bit, enough for people to sort of gather around and see this monstrosity. One figure detaches herself from the rest and walks forward and starts examining this corpse. She actually gets down on one knee and she holds her hand out and mutters something possibly in ancient Kenya, and you see a slight glow over her hand, and the body itself begins to glow an angry red. And she spits a curse. Which how high is your Quenya there, Strix?
2.
Oh,
He knows enough how to swear.
It's enough to she it's a curse against creatures of Morgoth.
Of course.
So, and she said, someone animated this corpse, defiled it, drew it from its burrow, and sent it out to walk the land.
Well,
And she looks up and says, I apologize. I apologize for what happened here.
I look at Bella Flecka and I say, were we followed?
Not that I know of, but I'm really good at covering our tracks.
I just look at Polemnoth and I say, I'm sorry. Apparently this thing has made me a bit of a liar.
She the elven lady looks up and says, no, this thing did not follow you. You came from the south, yes?
We came from the south east of here.
Then this thing did not follow you. I recognize this tack, this clothing, this armor. It's of local Dunlending make. This came from those barrows to the north and east.
Well, that's good.
Okay.
Silas, is there any more of that stew? I just realized how empty my stomach was before I eat.
Oh yes, Silas says, yes, definitely. And he hurries himself back inside and brings you out a bowl of stew. And several of the elves look at you and turn a slight color of green as you begin eating the stew with this thing laying there in the middle of their road.
Yeah, no, I've just eaten my my dinner as this corpse is probably about 40 feet away from me. It's now kind of settling in that, I mean, roguish and back alley as Minardil looks, he's not afraid of gore or blood or combat, battle of any kind. Can eat in the presence of a dead, rotting body.
Well, as you do, so that the elf lady looks at Bella Flecka specifically, looks you up and down and says, Dunlending?
All right.
Then I apologize for what I must do. And she stands up, takes about 2 steps back, mutters some stuff, wiggles her fingers a bit, and a jet of flame jets out from her outstretched hand as you see a flash of something in her other hand that glows for a moment. And this corpse, within just a few seconds, is reduced to ash. The smell almost makes Strix empty his stomach contents one more time, but he's able to hold it down this time. Well, it's almost.
I'll be fine.
So, but yeah, you're able to muscle through it and keep eating. So, as the group then. The lady looks up and says, I was on my way down because I'd heard that Silas had the 2 visitors who were singing earlier. Who saw these the first time? And an elf lady comes, who's inside Silas's abode, steps out and said, I did, my lady. And she looks over at her and says, what were you doing out by the edge of the town? And she said, well, there were humans that came in. I wanted to go out and test my tracking skills. And you see, you see the lady, the obvious mage sort of roll her eyes and say, I apologize. She's only a few centuries old.
Did you get a good eye full, my dear? I just look at her. Mm.
She sort of giggles and says, yes, I did. I was able to track you from the ridge all the way down to the edge of town. That I came across that. So, and the elf lady is dressed in. Whereas the elves inside the village you've seen so far, as I said, one's dressed in a fairly ornate robe. This woman is and cloak and cloak and such, and she's dressed in a dress. Although it's cut short, just below the D. She's obviously wearing leggings underneath, so she has decent movement in it. Still very well made. This young lady who claims that she was tracking you, she's dressed in clothing that's a little more practical, but still very, very well made. There are many a noble who would be proud to wear the clothing she's wearing. But it's more in different colors of greens and grays, almost a modeling to the way it's done. If you didn't know any better, you might say it was misdyed with splotches and such. But it's also very utilitarian in the way it's cut. It definitely opens for free movement. And she says, "My name is Eredrith. I'm a ranger here. My master is did I write that down?
I don't think you did.
Morris? Did I say Morris was the ranger they mentioned earlier?
Mara.
Or Maros.
Maros, yeah.
Right. Maro. Yeah. Maros. She said, my master is Maros, the ranger. He is out patrolling tonight. He said that there was some foul business about, and obviously he was right.
Polemnath, would you like a cup of coffee?
What? He sort of looks for a moment and, what is that? Never heard of this.
Oh, well, you're having one.
Huh.
I just smile and I go inside. Nope,
You see Polemnoff look past the Strixer Belfleck. He says, what's this coffee he's speaking of?
To some, it's more invigorating than tea.
Could be very
And
interesting.
Belfleck will actually kneel down and look over the body's gone. But is there any tracks left from the body? Like, can I trace footprints or whatnot backwards?
Do me a tracking check.
$114.
Okay, you're able to actually see the footprints fairly well out to the edge of the village. It seems like it may have just before you get to the area where you really can't see very well because it's getting dark at this point because the rain showers and stuff like that. And it's actually getting on a little bit on toward evening. You think it may have curved off toward the northeast from the path that it came from. Which if that's what direction they said that this cairn, these burial grounds are, it's off that way.
Okay. All right, Belfleck will go back to Silas's place.
Okay. When you get back there, the rest
Watch
of the
Strix make some coffee.
Yeah, most of the elves have now gathered around there. There's only about, this area, there's only maybe 9 or 10 of them. But they've crowded inside this area, and he's actually opened up a back area of his home to give a little more space. And these elves are lounging on chairs and couches and such about the place, watching in fascination as Strix makes up a pot of coffee. So, oh, you're muted there, Rafe.
Oh, no, here. No, I will
Sure,
grind
Strix.
it right in front of him.
Okay.
Strix, the Strix basically turned himself into a Dunedain barista there for a moment.
Okay.
Uh,
All right.
and
Are you gonna be a singing barista?
he absolutely will be.
All right.
He'll actually be singing kind of like as he's doing it, he'll kind of like be singing what he's doing,
Okay.
kind of a Haradrim, kind of like a folk,
Mhm.
kind of like tempo
Okay.
is how he'll do it. But
Okay.
my performance there will be oh goodness gracious, that is a 123.
All right.
So
You're doing a very good way of being of entertaining them, and when you're actually done brewing it um, and pour out the are you gonna pour one for yourself and one for Polimnov?
um I'll actually make two different pots because Minar Dill likes his traditional
Okay.
Arabic style, so
Yeah.
he'll actually go to silence. I mean, like I need a spoon. He hands you over a
Yes.
spoon, and he
Yeah.
watch this, and he'll drop it in, and the
Mhm.
spoon will stand up straight.
Okay.
Which, if anyone about coffee drinkers, that is the most bitter, god awful ass Arabic coffee ever.
I'm familiar.
if the
I've
if
had it.
the spoon stands up straight,
Mhm.
and he goes, "I'm not going to make you drink this. This is just for me,"
Okay.
because you'll think it's terrible. Um,
So,
and he'll serve something that's a little bit more mild,
mhm.
and then hand that off to Polimnoth, and actually
Okay.
wait very
Yeah.
on tenter hooks, like what his
He'll
reaction will be.
he'll pick up the of course it's one of the teacups that he's using, and he sniffs it and he says, "This has such a warm smell to it, much more um, comforting actually than tea." And he takes a sip, and you see him sort of jerk back. He says, "But quite a bitter brew, although."
This is good for
Excellent.
the mornings, and if you have a lot of work at night.
Ah. He sits back for a moment. He sort of savors the flavor in his mouth, and he says, "I detect a bit of a nutty flavor. What those small nuts that you ground up? But they come from a tree?
Coffee beans, they come from a plant.
Ah, they're beans.
I'll go out and
Interesting.
get him one. I'll hand
Okay,
him a coffee bean.
okay." He'll look at it and he'll hand it off to that the lady mage who will look at it and says, "Do you have any of these that are viable? I'd love to try to grow some of this, but or I should say, if you do not, these are dried and roasted, of course. Um, but do you have any that are fresh?"
I do. I have. They're
Okay.
separate in a bag.
Okay.
I have a hobbit friend that he actually asked me to bring him a few fresh ones so he can put them in his garden. And
May I have a single one of them by chance?
I'll give you two.
Thank
I
you.
goes
Very
up
generous.
and I give her two.
She takes that and she mutters a spell over it and looks at that. Says,
He's
"Oh,
got a
quite
small
good."
baggie of like 60 of them.
Okay.
That's
He
actually where
hands.
most of his money went.
She then hands the beans over to Polimnoth, who mutters a few things about it and holds his hand out, and you see the beans glow a healthy looking green. He says, "Oh yes, these are very clean. They'll do wonderful in the garden." And he hands them over to her, and she takes them and puts them into a pouch and says, "I'll be adding those to my garden. Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention." Then Polimnoth gives her the cup, and
Oh wait,
she sips it, and she sort of tilts her head, and she says, "I'm not sure if I like it or not." She
it
sips it
grows
again and
on you.
says, yes, it does. It That nuttiness after the fact. This would be wonderful. And she looks over at over at Flimnoff says this would be wonderful with some cream.
Oh, there's many tribes in down south in Far Harad who do that. Sometimes
Huh.
they put some different flavors like cocos and hazelnut and
Oh
that sort of
yes,
thing.
that would
Uh,
enhance the nut flavor quite a bit. And at that point, they begin talking about that kind of thing.
and I
Um,
look at Belle and I'm like, now I don't have to travel 600 miles south. Just
that is very true.
travel like 3 weeks west.
Yeah.
Yes. Now.
Basically everyone
Fantastic.
starts sort of relaxing a little bit until your bird alerts you that someone else is coming in. You don't get the same sense of oddity that you would before, but in
A
walks
suspicious look kind of like
Yeah.
goes to the door.
the door opens and in walks a tall black-haired elf.
Good evening.
Noldor by his look. And he comes walking in. He has a bow that's currently wrapped in oiled skins to protect it against the rain outside, and his cloak is shedding water as he takes it off, and first goes to hang it up on the root, then notices your owl, and
Who
he
hoots
says
at him?
he says something to the owl, and the owl seems to understand him
Of course he does.
and nods and looks over at you, and you get the sensation that the owl, from your connection with him, that this is a friend. And the owl takes his cloak in his beak and hangs it for him.
That is Olos.
Hello,
We
Olos.
bid you good evening.
I am Meros, the ranger. I've been out on patrol. I heard that there was an incident in town.
I look at Belle. I said, that would be a white, wouldn't it?
A white? I'm afraid if an actual white, I'm afraid if an actual white had walked into this town, that well, we might not have a town anymore. That more like was just some corpse thing stirred up from a grave.
Oh, well, if it's not a white, then thank Manway.
Hmm.
I don't have a lot of
Yes.
experience with the undead. I've heard there's whites, and then there are many other horrible things. So
a white is a thing that has a mind of its own, though it be a cruel and calculating thing from beyond death. Only men can become such. So it's part of their blessed, or part of their gift, but it's also part of their curse, that their spirits can flee to beyond the halls of Mandos, but may be bound by dark magics to their own rotting corpses and such. That thing, did it speak? Did it give you any indication that it might have intelligence?
it
Or did
tried. It rasped at me.
Yeah.
But the only sounds that came from its dead lips were the clacking of teeth.
Then it was no white, something just animated by foul magics.
Good.
He looks up and said, "Did anyone get a good look at the thing? Was it from near here?" And the elven mage looks over, still sipping that coffee, by the way. Or
She's
is real.
enjoying herself.
And she says, "Yes, I did. It was definitely from the local tribe, by the cut of its armor, and by my reckoning, it could not have been buried for more than about 2 weeks." And he nods, and he says, I'm afraid that the rumors we've heard are true. Sounds like that. Yeah, it sounds like Gorathoth may have ventured his way, possibly to that set of cairns there, the northeast.
And who is this?
Gorathoth. He comes and sits down. Well,
I offer him a cup of coffee as he sits down.
He sniffs it.
A wonderful treat from Harad to the south.
Takes a sip. Just, I actually encountered a Rodrum trader some time back, and he served me the same thing. Yours is a bit better though.
Oh, I
Very
thank you.
warming. So, and he actually does something somewhat odd. He actually tosses the cup back and drinks it in one long pull. Um, that's one of the things elves tend to be a little less sensitive to hot and cold than humans are. And he sets the cup down and says, "Thank you very much for that." He says, and to lubricate my voice, if you will, he says, "Gorathroth once was a Numenorian lieutenant. At the time, went by the name of Aramur. Back in the Second Age. Uh, let's see. Let me see. Oh, wrong part. Wrong part. Makes it easier up here. Once was lieutenant in back in the Second Age. He was a lieutenant to the company and lieutenant in the private army of Ermurazur, the ambitious son of Tar Saritan from Numenor. He was a vain man, like his commander, and jealous of our immortality. He sought to extend his own life to become immortal like us. After Sauron brought the Black Prince under his tutelage for training, Gorathoth, then called Aramur, disillusioned by El Morazur's departure, learned the dark arts through his own evil magics or his own efforts. From the study of ancient texts, he mastered the archaic and evil magics that would preserve his youthful stature. It was during one of his experiments that the process went horribly wrong. The self-taught sorcerer was skilled, but Aramur's impatience proved his undoing. He attempted to read a spell directly from the pages of a long-forgotten tome, and a simple mispronouncement twisted its results. Aramur received exactly what he wanted. He would never die. Unfortunately, his mantle of immortality was that of undead. Lieutenant's black spirit survived the catastrophe to become hatred personified, a wraith. But unlike the Nazgul and the Witch King of Angmar, he has self-created wraith. They, of course, have been corrupted by the rings, the foul rings they were given. He is not bound by such a ring, though it is rumored that his allegiance lies with those same ring wraiths. And I believe he has ventured in this part of the world looking for something.
I kind of
And
give a suspicious, not really a suspicious, but more like a guilty look to Bella Flecka, but he doesn't say anything.
and I believe I had been hearing rumors and seeing signs that he may have taken up residence in the burial mounds nearby.
Damn him.
He looks over at the other elves here and he says, we may actually consider leaving this place, at least for a while, until this wraith is dealt with or moves on. And one of the other elves is, what of the Dunlending tribe? What would they do? They live in this Avarians as well. And he says they can take care of themselves. I can send a runner. How about Arabeth? I can send you as a runner out to speak to the Dunlendings. They'll, because of your fair countenance, they'll probably talk to you, at least listen for a few moments before running in terror. I don't know why do they do that? He looks over at Belfleck and says, "You have the cut of a man of the Dunlending tribe. Why would you fear? Why would they fear us like such?"
They started the story. Maybe it took root. One of them are wrong. I don't know the tribe here. I cannot tell you for certain.
Well, either way,
Would you like me to talk to
that might be a good thing, but not tonight. The weather outside is turning even worse. This sleet is beginning to cover the ground fairly thickly, and the snow is right behind it. I fear by the morning we'll have a few inches on the ground, and travel won't be too bad, but maybe a bit hampered by that. But for the night, just stay here, get warm. If anything else comes along, we'll deal with it. But in the morning, yes, if you feel up to it, it'll probably be a good idea for you and your companion here to take a trip to see the Dunlendings and to give them the warning. So, but so as you are given rooms there in the one of the homes there, nice and warm and comforting, for actual beds, not hard earth. You're also given warm water to bathe if you wish. Especially since both of you probably have a little bit of that gore still on you from hitting things very
Right.
closely with weapons.
No, I'll bathe and I'll actually see if I can get my clothes washed as well.
They can definitely take care of that.
Oh, all right.
They ask if you have a spare clothing to change into.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He Minardill's spare clothes is 100% Elvish.
Oh.
The
Okay.
the shirt, pants, belt, and probably would be house shoes or
Slippers.
Slippers would probably be
Okay.
his gifts that he got from Imladris.
Ah, okay. So that is commented upon that the clothing you have is definitely of the cut of Imladris. And of course that sparked everything seems to spark Silas asking questions and talking about stuff.
Oh,
Um,
and
yeah.
the Strix will certainly tell him everything that he knows, everything that's happened.
Yeah.
Oh, I sang a song here. I paid a little bit
Okay.
for this over here. Most
Yeah.
of
Mhm.
Minardill's equipment comes from him paying with music or a story.
Okay. At one point, actually, you see Silas break out he has a sheaf of paper, a good sized stick, a little stack of it, and he begins gets an inkwell out and a quill and begins writing things down frantically.
Silas, you will be there all night.
Mhm.
You write down everything I have to say. You will
Okay,
be there all night.
He looks up and says, "Of course," and he seems to be absolutely fine doing that. So, eventually, though, Maros comes back in and he says, he looks, he says, "Silas, do the quick notes, and then these men need to sleep. Unlike us, they're typically aren't awake for 4 or 5 days."
How
So,
about this? And I kind of arc this to the room. However many L's are in there. All right. If we stay long enough to aid you with this new threat here, I look at the blonde elf, Palanos.
yeah,
You-
Eladrith.
no,
Eladrith.
the one that I served coffee to earlier.
Oh, that one is well, crap. Where is she at again?
No, it was a she.
Yeah, there's a she. Yes.
Oh,
That would be Ordriel
all right then.
or Ordell. I've been saying yes.
No, no, Keith, the other one, the one that
Sorry?
I spoke to about why I'm here, and he's not going to name drop the reason why because of
Okay.
the naughty
You're
A
talking.
word.
You're talking about Plimnoth.
Yes, him.
Yes. Okay.
I'll actually look to Palemnoth and say, well, you help me look for what I'm looking for, or if it's just confirmed that it's not here, then I can move on. But I will not move on until I have told you every story that I know, sang you every song that I can sing. You exchange with me some songs that I may sing elsewhere. Is that acceptable?
But it's acceptable. The
Then,
exchange of song is always an acceptable exchange.
then I look to Bellafleca and say, well, we have a job to do.
Okay.
Mine can wait. I'd like to make sure you folk are safe, and it upsets me that the reason why I am here and that thing going coming from where possibly I will need to go. I don't. I do not enjoy the coincidences of those two events. So
Uh,
that's on
coincidences,
my mind.
coincidences are rarely a thing that is not put in motion by some other being at some point in the past, be it some plot by a creature of Morgoth or just a creature of chaos in general.
Well,
But yes, they're there. Um, but yes, take your leave. I'm going to retire to my home at the top of the waterfall. I'm going to consult
that's
some
your hut.
auguries and see if I can't gather more information that might be helpful here.
Uh, do the elves actually? Does he actually leave, and then the rest
Mhm.
of the village stay here? Because I did
Yeah,
promise Silas
yeah,
and Polemnoth that we were going to have a bit of a party.
yeah.
That I was going to
The
say.
rest of them will sort of stick around there, and you guys will probably they'll sing and tell tales and such into the night. And as they say, it is one of the premier things to experience is hearing the songs of the elves under the stars. Unfortunately, the stars are not out at the moment. The rain falls and sleet outside, but um, the sweet voices and the good company makes the interior just more the warmer and welcoming.
Do I need
Um,
to roll for that, Keith?
no, no,
You
this will
know
be
what?
fine.
Okay.
This will be
I will
fine.
give
This
them
is
my best because I'm not being pressured.
yeah. We'll assume that yes, you that you're able to prepare and not you're not pressured into having to do anything like that. You're just do your thing. Now, does Bella Flecka join in by chance? Is he because he is the elves do look to him and ask if he knows any tales or songs of his people that he may wish to share.
Belflocken is not really on his own, but he is definitely one to immediately jump into song when it's done around him.
Okay, I'll even
So
say
he
at
will
one
join him and he does not have anything to actually contribute.
okay. I'll even say that at one point the two of you actually wind up doing a duet of some type, or at least do some counterpoint, and the elves are all thoroughly amused. Um, but eventually, though, that they will you find out very quickly that if they're allowed, elves will party literally all night long. Um,
Um, for the Strix, I will say, he will party. He's a
okay.
bard. He can get down.
Oh yeah.
I go as long as my Haradrim
Mhm,
pot of coffee will go,
mhm,
and then I will switch to the cider that I had, pretty
okay,
alcoholic cider that he's got. And once that's done,
mhm.
he's probably relieved himself 2-3 times,
I'm
and
sure.
by then he's probably half melted, but he refuses to stop playing.
Yeah.
Um,
Some of the elves actually bring you a bit of wine to go along with it, and it's a very light, fruity wine that well, it puts you a bit further into the realms of being inebriated as such
oh,
until
I
eventually, mm,
he's
yeah,
he fills his stomach with food,
sure,
plied with wine, coffee. He
yeah,
probably takes in some of the more fair of the elven maidens, but he doesn't say anything
mhm,
inappropriate. No, but
yeah.
um,
That is one thing that you've noticed that you've in other places where you've been in taverns and such. Generally, at some point or another, after you're singing, there's always that one young lady who seems to come up and have a fancy or seems to want to sit upon your knee, as it were.
but no one wants
Um,
to touch me here. That's
yeah, it's
nice.
there. Everyone here is very much to their own. They're participating. They're all they're singing and such, but there's not a lot of that the kind of things you'll see in human taverns where there's the hanging on of each other and
It's so nice not to be pawed at when
Yes.
he's singing.
So but
but-
eventually eventually you do come to the end of your considerable endurance, and you do have to bow out, but you actually hear from your rooms. I'm not sure how long Bella Flecka lasts out, but eventually you said you're laying in you fall to sleep in the rooms to the sound of the gentle singing of elves, and elsewhere in the house.
oh,
It's almost a beautiful lullaby. They're singing about Elbereth Gilfaniel as you fall into the in a dream.
I snore like a distant shore.
Okay. The next morning, the two of you awaken. Maybe just a tad bit of a hangover from the elven wine more than anything else. A bit of a heady vintage it is. Not enough to cause you serious harm, but enough to remind you that you drank a bit last night. And you notice that the sun has come out outside, and of course that that beautiful orange yellow orb, or ship in this case, casting its glow down upon the snow is almost a blinding deal. And now you get to see that the behind the waterfall, the cliff face itself sparkles with a bit of ice, but it also is a sparkle possible with quartz as well, and it has a slight green hue to it. And the water itself, the waterfall, is tinted a brilliant green, and the where the river actually runs through town is also a very green color. You know that these mountains, Arid Lewin, that the dwarves refer to them as the copper mountains, because apparently there's a large amount of copper in those hills, and that might be why the river is tinted that green color. So,
As I getting myself ready for the day, putting on his mail coat and the maybe a kind of a Kelly green or a forest green coat over the mail, but he won't actually have it buttoned, so it'll kind of be open. So the metal will actually show. He takes up his war sword, Clayan, and he'll just kind of mutter to himself, well, my friend, there is another adventure, another journey for us. However, these evil spirits I have no experience with, but as I actually built the sword on, I hope you have more experience than me than this. You've certainly been around longer.
You hear the spirit of the swords sort of echoing, almost like a ringing of a bell.
This is not audible. This is in my head, correct?
This is pretty much in your head, but it always sort of sounds almost like it's ringing like a bell. The tones, but it says, I have bit into undead flesh before.
Then I'll keep my wits about me, if you're going to be riding on my belt for this foreseeable future. I'll just kind of like pat it a little lovingly.
Yeah, you hear in your mind, beware, for the undead have ways of sapping your very life.
He'll crinkle his nose at that. He says, very ware.
Yes, the wraiths and wights, if they place their hands upon your flesh, they can suck the life from you, the very heat itself from your flesh and bones.
Is this the black breath that I've heard of?
Yes.
I just shudder and kind of grip that velvet lined hilt a little tighter. All right.
Okay.
All right. He's still a young Dunedain. He very much relies on Clayan as a
mentor almost.
almost a mentor, very much a companion.
Okay.
He will certainly consult Clan about things that he's not aware of, and
Okay.
to supplement his knowledge as a young bard absolutely should.
Okay. All right. And with that, Bella Flecka, you rise and um, what are you doing this fair morning? Getting some breakfast, possibly.
Yeah, Bellafluck is gonna after he gets all of his equipment put together,
Mhm.
got his coat and everything back on. Yeah, he'd go get some breakfast. He'd also be looking if he didn't have one on himself, which he probably would. He would fish out a whetstone or ask for a whetstone and
Okay.
go about resharpening the blade of his throwing axe.
Okay. You're able to acquire a whetstone pretty quickly and pretty easily. Um, they now that the sun is out, you see that this village is actually, let's say it's between six, it's about 18 individual homes, and you're able to see there are actually more elves than you met last night. There's about 40 in this little town, um, including a blacksmith, by the way, which is where you get the whetstone from. Um, he primarily though works on gardening tools and things of that nature. Although he does help Maros with his weapons and armor occasionally. You do find out that Maros and Arabeth are probably the only two people that you could come close to calling a warrior in this town. The rest of them are all scholars and craftsmen of some type. This is very much a retreat. They're a very peaceful people. Um, Apparently, the reason why they don't have any walls here is they've never really been threatened before, and they can, if need be, retreat to the chalet up on the waterfall, and they can actually destroy the stairway leading up to it, which you now can see is by the waterfall itself. Um, at the base of the fall is a very lush garden, a couple of different fruit trees, and even in the snow, you see things bearing fruit.
And with that, now that Minardell has kind of, I mean, gifted a fellow gardener
Mhm,
with the ability to start growing coffee,
mhm,
uh, he's strangely enough, he's a lot more lenient about how much
okay.
he brews. He'll brew up a pot of coffee.
Okay.
Bella Flecker will know that I only brewed up coffee on like special occasions. This was a nice
Yeah.
thing for us on the road, and now it's
Mhm,
like, well, if that's the case, then more will be here shortly.
mhm.
Um, he'll make a pot of coffee for breakfast. Um, as I have converted my Dunlending companion to the cult that of coffee and caffeine, uh, and
Um,
he'll enjoy
Bella's also the type to Bella's also the type to just take one of your beans
just eat
and
it.
just eat it straight up.
Oh, but no,
yeah.
we'll
Um,
I'll
yeah.
enjoy
Caffeine stick in
whatever
the
we
drink.
have.
Okay. Yeah, you're brought a good sized platter and a couple of plates to eat off of. There's there's some good cheese, about a quarter wheel of really nice yellow cheese there, well aged. There's some sausages that you're brought. There is a variety of fruits and a bit of um, like a little fried, I guess like a little fried cake, um,
Oh,
for breakfast. The cake itself has nuts and berries sort of embedded into it as well.
like a
But it
loaded
has
pancake.
yeah, exactly, like a little loaded pancake. It actually the food actually fortifies you quite well, makes you feel very very good, and fixes that little small minor hangover that the Strix is probably dealing with.
Oh,
After he eats, he feels a much better.
I'm
Um,
gonna take another one extra one of those for the road.
okay. About the time that you guys are finishing up and about to stand up, Maros comes in
Good morning.
and he says, "Good morning. Um, I'm going to head up to the Barrows, for the place where these humans bury their dead there. I'm going to do the reconnaissance for that. Would the two of you like to go visit the Dunlendings, or would you like to come with me and see if what you can see before you go there, to let them know what could be going on?"
I think if we reconnoiter with you, we can better inform the Dunlendings when we visit them.
Mhm. He
What do you think,
nods
Belle?
at you.
No, I concur. I'd rather go see the barrels before we go talk to tribe.
Okay. All right, then gear up, gentlemen, and let's head out. We'll be walking most of the day. We should get there just prior to sundown.
I leave quite a bit of my gear
Okay.
in my room that they've given me, and I've only taken along my everyday carry my weapons. So
Okay.
um, he keeps like all of his earthly possessions, all his life are in those backpacks. So
Okay.
only what you need just for the day.
Okay. All right. So as you guys head out following Maros in this into the snow on this path, I'm going to go ahead and call for closing soliloquies because we are closing on 11.
Okay.
We got a few minutes left, but so Bella Flecka, what do we see in your mind after the experience the night before, and what stands before you?
Right now, um, he's really want to see the extent of the damage this thing may cause. Yes, it came to the fort, but they're doing damage on the way there, and is this the only one? Even though it's a different tribe, it's still of his people. So he kind of takes it almost as a personal attack, just because he was the one that had downed one of his own, so to speak. Um, he's not really looking forward to telling the tribe what has conspired because he knows it's not going to go over well in one way or the other, but he also knows it needs to be done. Um, and also during this whole thing, he got done sharpening his axe. He actually would pull out the writing skins he has and was starting to give brief recounts thus far to kind of catalog what he has gone through so when he goes back home eventually in the not so near future he can recount everything. But yeah, at the moment he has his axe and he has his equipment and he's ready to hopefully put down this, you know, evilness that has now traveled through his people.
Okay, excellent there. And we turn to the Strix. What do we see in his mind as we march through the light snow out upon the north?
Well, the Strix is kind of going through what's happened over the past couple of weeks. Stopped in Hobbiton just to drop off some coffee beans there. He's found a lead in Bree, traveled just slightly south, and met up with Bella Flecka here. And then we came here, and there's always been this nagging suspicion that his mission to find this tapestry of Anatar will either be his undoing or he does possibly he might resign himself to being crazy. This thing cannot be found. But now with this new threat, he's kind of blaming himself because he is told next to no one about his mission, and then he's going through who did I tell? Who did I talk to about this? And maybe someone else has whispered such a thing into this magician who's now pillaging graves and then sending them down country roads to threaten other communities. And now this. He reminds himself he's likely not making a mountain out of a molehill, but things are suspiciously adding up to him in his mind. And just the area of this place, the weather, the company, and Minardale being a young bard kind of just says this would be a nice place to retire in my old age. If this threat could possibly be taken care of, and see what else happens. But he gets himself his mind. He sets his mind on the present, and kind of offers up a prayer to any of the gods that may or may not favor him. That hopefully they grant him luck, and he respectfully sends out into the world I hope that I am not going to defile or offend any spirits of the dead. They're disturbing their graves, and follows behind his companions respectfully, and with his head on a swivel, keeping up the rear.
Okay, so, and as we see our two companions and their third guide at this moment marching out across this pristine white snow, our vision rises up, and about a day's walk ahead of them, down to an area that's once again also covered with snow, but this snow just does not seem to be as pristine. Almost made as if a bit of something is dark has blown over it and tainted it a bit. Down to a large, round, domed barrow, circled with standing stones along the outer perimeter, and in through the entrance to the interior, into the dark. As our eyes adjust to the gloom, we see several figures sort of shuffling about, all wearing the customary leather armor of the Dunlendings, possibly as many as a half a dozen, maybe a couple more. And as we maneuver our way between them and around them to see what they're staring at, we come to the center of this burial chamber, where a stone slab lays there, the body of a Dunedain captain, dressed in the arms and armor of one of his station that will be appropriate from the days of Numenor. A great two-handed sword clutched in his hands upon his breast. The armor, even now in the darkness, even after so many thousands of years, gleaming in the dark, reflecting back the feeble light reflecting in from outside. We see this dark black figure hover just beyond the wisps of blackness wrapped around this almost human form, as it leans over this body and mutters foul phrases, the black speech. The breath cascading down over the body into the armor, penetrating behind that which was most likely impervious to the Orcan arrow or the Tulwar, going deep within the body until an evil green light is kindled within the eyes of the corpse. And with a groan and the sound of old armor moving after so long, this thing sets up, and the dark figure behind it lets out a sepulchral laugh, and you hear, "Rise, my captain, rise," and many of your companions will rise as well. And with that, our curtains close. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight for this. Thank you, my players there. And we'll be back, I guess, in a week to do a bit of a longer night. Sorry, it got that short. Things happen occasionally. But good night and fare thee well.